Hi everyone, Happy New Year, 2024. And there you can see an image. It sort of like represents an icicle, sort of like pure ice. What I'm really trying to say there is, when I used to live in a certain place, there were quite nasty people, a whole crowd of them. It was like something you just couldn't get away from. If you were even to look their way, they sort of got a face look like thunder, you know. They couldn't hide the feelings, how they felt about you. They couldn't hide it from their faces. But anyway, to cut a long story short, because it is a long story, I could fill 20 books with it, but I don't want to, because it's not my style to talk about people like that. But you can feel like giving up on them, which I did give up anyway. But there was a certain dog there across in the opposite house from us, and she was a beautiful dog, and she was so ill-treated. You just cannot begin to imagine. On a very cold day like it is now, it's going down from 4 degrees centigrade to below zero, which is a lot for Spain, because Spain is normally a Mediterranean climate all year round, more or less, even though it's in the north. I was walking the dog. He was about 15 months old, and she didn't bark. The dog didn't bark. I'm not going to say what kind of dog it was, but it was a lovely Old English. That says everything. She always backed towards the fence. There was this wire-netted fence, green mesh of a wired fence. So you could see them, but they couldn't see you anyway, because it was absolute pea soup fog. You couldn't even see the end of your nose. That's how cold it was. There were icicles on the guttering of the roofs. And she was out in that weather all the time, all night long. All day long, all night long. And I love that dog. I really love that dog. We've got a great affinity. And anyway, what she would do was to back against the fence for me to rub her back, because she wasn't so playful anymore, but she was still playful enough. And she wanted me to scratch her back, to stroke her back. She wanted some love, that's all she wanted. And of course the dog that I got Sultan while I was walking with him, he was getting jealous, you know. He was getting jealous, and so I had to hold on to the dog, our dog, and stroke her back at the same time, putting my hand against the mesh and through the fence at the same time. She wasn't my dog. When she was with them, actually, she loved me stroking her like that. She didn't want me to go. And it was so bitterly cold. I was saying to her, come on girl, you can make it, you can make it. You can make it through another day. And when it sinks such cruelty like that, sometimes you have to back away, because it's not your dog and there's really nothing you can do about it, except to give the dog love, which I gave her. And of course, if ever I tried before, at the beginning, if ever I tried to approach the dog when she was in their company, they had a face like thunder all the time, all the time, all the time. And when I say all the time, I mean all the time. What can you say about people like that? Well, just leave them to be, to steward it, to be what they want to be. But I'm not that. This might sound confusing to somebody, but I just gave the dog love when she She never barked when I went past. She would always put her back against the fence for me to scratch her back and to stroke her the best way I could, of course. Because they didn't make anything easy for anybody, not even for themselves. Yeah, yeah. Eso está puesto. Anyway, I'll leave it there. But there was a dog this morning. It must be about 15 months old as well. They'd shoved it out on a balcony for God knows what reason. And it was there. It was howling like a wolf and barking at the same time. It was a frightened dog. That is typical of this country at this time of year. They abandon the dogs, they just go off and leave them and lock them out on the balcony a lot of times. And of course it was keeping me awake, because I've got a real empathy for dogs, any kind of dog, really. And anyway, that's the end of the story. Okay, I don't want to get into playing the violins or anything. Happy New Year again. Okay, Feliz Año Nuevo.